Enough talk about this European Super League. Let's talk about something far more important with Mark Ogden, the ESPN FC transfer rater. So where's Mourinho going to end up, Mark? How about Valencia? What do you make of that one?
Well, Valencia's an interesting one. You know, Valencia, big club in Spain, fallen hard at times in the past. They are, I think, traditionally Spain's the third biggest club behind Real and Barcelona, ahead of Atletico Madrid. So they are a big club. And I think in all reality that Mourinho is now going to be looking at a club in that kind of second, third tier now, because he's not going to get a Real Madrid or a Man United again. He's been through most of those clubs as it is. So I think Valencia, that would be a good option for him. But would he want to go to Spain again and be another outsider? I think Mourinho is going to want to go to a team that's got a chance of actually challenging for something. So maybe he waits for a PSG to come up in a year or two's time, or an international job. I do think his time as a top level coach, as managing the elite clubs, is gone. I think, you know, Chelsea, Man United sacked, Chelsea sacked, Tottenham sacked, Real Madrid sacked, or left under a cloud. I think his days at the big clubs are over. So the likes of Valencia could be his best bet going forward.
Maybe a little bit of a dent to the ego, but as you say, I mean, he is what he is right now. He's potentially, for some owners, yesterday's man. We'll soon see where he ends up next. Now, you can tell by the accent, there's a Scottish twang, even though I've been in America for 10 years. And a lot of the talk in Scotland has been Eddie Howe going to Celtic. However, recently, it's been Eddie Howe might not go to Celtic, he might go to Crystal Palace. That could be part of your answer here. The transfer rater today suggests it won't be Eddie Howe going to Palace, it'll be Patrick Vieira. What do you make of it all?
Well, you know, Patrick Vieira, as we know, managed in the MLS with New York City. Then he moved to France with Nice and didn't have a great time there. It wasn't hugely successful. He's still got a great name in England, having played for Arsenal for all those years. But I do think that, you know, Crystal Palace, it's a big job. You know, Roy Hodgson has got a squad of players that has come to the end of its contract this summer. Hodgson's done a good job keeping them where they are, but I don't see Crystal Palace as a top job. So maybe, you know, Vieira's kind of fallen star maybe makes him one of the candidates for that. Well, let's be honest, you know, Crystal Palace have got a lot of options. They've got Eddie Howe, as you mentioned. They've got Chris Wilder, who had a great time at Sheffield United before, had problems this season. I think Sean Dyche has been mentioned at Burnley as well, if he decides to leave Burnley. So I think if you're Crystal Palace, I think Patrick Vieira is quite a long way down that list. But nowadays, managers get jobs for different reasons. That they have good agent connections, or the owner or the club wants a big name, and Vieira is a big name, particularly in London. So it's a possibility, but I think right now Vieira is quite way down the line in terms of being the first choice at Crystal Palace.
Okay, that's the managers on the transfer radar. How about some players, Mark Ogden? And let's go to Liverpool now. Reds fans of a certain vintage were used to the number 9s banging them in front of the Kop. These days, they've got a fantastic front three of either Mane and Salah, with either Jota or Firmino. They don't really have an out-and-out striker. They've been linked with Ollie Watkins of Villa. What's your take?
Well, Ollie Watkins had a great first season in the Premier League with Villa, having left Brentford last summer, played for England, scored in his England debut against San Marino. But I think it might be a little bit early for Ollie Watkins to go to Liverpool. Obviously got Diogo Jota, who's in his first season at Anfield. I think Watkins has done well at Villa, but I think he needs to prove it again for another year to make a move to a club like Liverpool, a club of such status and stature. Let's be honest, Liverpool might not be in the Champions League next season, obviously, so they may have to look for a different kind of player. But I do think right now Ollie Watkins would be a gamble for Liverpool. It would be a big move for Ollie Watkins from Brentford to Villa to Liverpool in the space of 18 months.
Next up, Niklas Sule for Chelsea. Thiago Silva is not going to last forever, and they've got a number of centre-backs. Could they do with Sule?
Well, they could do with Sule. I mean, I saw them against Man City at the weekend in the FA Cup, and I thought Antonio Rudiger was exceptional at centre half, fantastic defender, and obviously, you know, he would pair well with Sule, both German internationals. I think Sule, obviously physically as well, would be quite an imposing presence at Chelsea in the Premier League. So Thomas Tuchel will know him as well. You know, he'll have a great knowledge of the German game. So yeah, I do think that Chelsea need a centre half. Thiago Silva's still putting some good performances, but I think they have to look to the future. And I think that, you know, Sule alongside Andreas Christensen, Kurt Zouma and Rudiger would make quite a decent and formidable centre-half pairing or partnership for Chelsea.
Let's end with Bayern down in Bavaria in Germany, linked with Camavinga. What's your take?
Well, you know, Bayern haven't really replaced Thiago Alcantara since he went to Liverpool at the end of last season, or in the summer. But I do wonder sometimes, Bayern Munich go for players young and early in the transfer market. And I remember when they signed Renato Sanchez from Portugal back in, I think, 2016, when he was the rising star of world football. And it didn't work for Sanchez. He didn't quite cut it at Bayern. And I think Camavinga is a similar kind of age group. So it's a big club to join when you're a teenager. And I think that'll be the problem. I think that Camavinga's best interest will be to stay in France for another year, maybe, just to build his experience. But if Bayern Munich come calling, it's a tough club to turn down. So that's one to keep an eye on, certainly. That's
today's ESPNFC European Super League free transfer week.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.